Hey everybody, Charles. How you doing? New mask to match shirt. It is reversible. I actually have a shirt to match this side too. So if you want one, let me know. I'm giving them away for donations. Um, this little commercial before I start my video. Right, you gotta have a commercial. If I don't put a commercial on YouTube, well, so you know it's gonna be a commercial. Um, but anyway, I was watching the White House briefings, and the last briefing I watched, the president came on and said that you can that the COVID-19 will be helped by, actually said, if you put the sun on it, the heat, if you heat it for a minute. Um, I was surprised that it only takes a minute to heat you up. So I guess what he's saying, what he's telling you, is if you know, I at one point had a doctor that said, you don't get enough vitamin D. So I thought, I took the pills, but I spent a lot of time in the sun. I said, why am I vitamin D deficient? But apparently, they're ultraviolet from the tanning salons. But if you get too much, it's like zzz, that's worse than not getting enough. So, not a suggestion. I'm not suggesting that. But I guess what the president is suggesting, that if you have COVID and you want it knocked out, go to a tanning salon and sit under the hot lamps for as long as you can stand it, and your COVID will be good. That's what it sounded like to me, and I'm thinking, I don't, I don't think it works that way. But when he talked to Dr. Burke was on the side, and of course he keeps saying stuff to her, and she's like sitting as still as possible. If anybody sees me twitch, they're gonna think I'm acknowledging that what he's saying might have truth in it, and I'm not moving. I'm gonna sit here as still as possible. I'm not moving. I didn't agree with him. He was crazy. He was talking nonsense, and I never agreed with him. Ultraviolet light is going to knock the COVID out? Wow. That was so simple. It was like one of those chess moves where you're like moving around the worthy opponent, and then you're like, checkmate. Oh, dang! I did not see that coming. That was way too easy. And we had all these doctors and all these people getting together with all these briefings behind closed doors saying, now who has an idea that might work? How about this drug that gives people heart attacks? That might save 6, but it'll kill another 30. So we don't want to use that. And then who says that they should use it? Oh, that guy. Okay. How about and the president, I'm sure, is in these briefings when he's not golfing. So he's sitting in the briefing. How about if we use ultraviolet light? Okay, anybody got any other? Well, I've been working on a drug and a regimen to put it together. How about, yes, Mr. President, how about disinfectant? What? Wait, not just ultraviolet light, but if you inject yourself with disinfectant, it'll wipe it out in a minute, he said. In a minute. If you can get disinfectant on the inside of you, it'll wipe it out in a minute. Okay. When you've heard someone say stuff that you go, you can't be serious, can you? You can't be serious. How much of what they say after that? It's like, I have a sister-in-law that most family members would say she's a dingbat, but I'm gonna say it because I think she's entertaining, and she's fun to be around. But she'll make the craziest statements, and you go, and then she's like, "Yeah, well, I just made that up." Of course you did, because it's not substantiated by anything. So of course, ultraviolet sunlight. Or maybe if it's artificial, like if you go to the tanning salon, you could sit under the hot UV light lamps, and bam, you'll not have COVID. Wow. And then injecting yourself or digesting disinfectants like Clorox or bleach or Pine Sol. Once I had my sister-in-law call me up. She said, I got a rat over at my house and I want you to come and help me with it, because she had this big ass trap and caught the rat in the trap, and then she poured Pine Sol on him. So if you think that Pine Sol will cure up your COVID, let me just tell you what happened to this rat. Me, I'm going to say right now that like the rest of you, I'm not a big fan of rats. I mean, who is? Show of hands, how many people really just go, aw, when they see a rat? I mean, when you see a squirrel like begging for nuts or whatever, or just hanging around on a tree, wagging his tail, you're like, aw, so cute. But when's the last time you ever did that with a rat? So anyway, I go over and I see this rat. Well, my sister-in-law had taken a trash can, a little trash can, and thrown it over him, and then dumped large quantities of Pine Sol on him. So he's basically laying in the Pine Sol, ingesting it. And that Pine Sol was working its magic with him. He was in really, really bad shape. And I just looked at her and said, "You're not killing it. You're torturing it." It was still alive, but it was like on its last limb because the Pine Sol had gotten to it. It's being poisoned by Pine Sol underneath a cage of a trash can and with a rat trap over the back of its head. I just put it out of its misery and killed it. That's the only way to handle that. The Pine Sol was killing him very, very slowly. So if you want the COVID to go away and you think that possibly Pine Sol or some other disinfectant, Clorox, name your disinfectant, and maybe your favorite. Well, I use orange citrus myself. Yeah, whatever. Just ingest it and then COVID won't kill you right away, or maybe it will anyway, because there's no proven evidence that it's gonna wipe it out of you. It'll wipe it off a counter. Okay. I clean my counters with that. I don't ingest it. If I have a cold or somebody sneezes all over the counter and I don't want to get the cold, you wipe the counters down. I don't ingest it. I'm sorry. It probably doesn't have a very pleasant taste either. So, I mean, can we, again, back to the previous question, can we ever believe someone who has made these suggestions? I'm just presenting it to you. Can you ever believe someone that made suggestions to, okay, ultraviolet? And when he said it to Dr. Burt, she was like, at first she was really still like, I don't want anyone to think I'm agreeing with him. So, and then when he directed a question about, well, what do you think about heat? She says, well, that's why people get fevers. Yeah, maybe at this point, our president is just embarrassing us. That's what's happening.